Green 18. Green 19.
Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I study my ass off. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny.
When we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Long Balls. I'm Hawk. With me, as always, is the two other testicles of the Long Balls, Seth and Jordan. And then with us,
the tank.
For the second or third week in a row, the giant prick, JBONE. A full package here.
Bat winging it up over here.
Yeah, you know, we come on here every week. We talk a lot about football, but we never really talk about life. Let's just go around the circle and just all give one thing we learned this week.
Let's start with Seth.
Seth, what's something you learned this week?
You're on mute.
You're muted. God damn it.
You're muted.
My bad. I was trying to mute so you guys didn't hear me sniffling to myself, man. I'm just kind of fucked up. Like literally right before we went on the air, dude. I'm in a good mood. Already got the kids down to sleep. Got a cooler full of beer right here. And
belly full of white dog shit.
Yeah, you guys hit me with this news of Jay Briscoe passing away, man. The Briscoes have been one of my favorite tag teams for freaking years, dude. And it's just a bummer. So but I'm not going to let it get in the way of some good old-fashioned football talk.
Good.
So that's what you learned this week, that one of the Briscoes died. Good life lesson. Everyone take that to heart.
Such an asshole.
JBONE, what'd you learn this week besides that someone died?
I learned that I'm done with betting on football games and going to basketball games.
That's a good life lesson. Jordan, what'd you learn, bud?
I learned a half a point in football sure does mean a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the spreads are at a half point, bud.
Fucking bullshit.
The old Kirk Cousins fucked you, right?
And fucking the Bengals, but we'll move past it.
Well, hey, you know, we'll get into our first topic, and we had a pretty healthy debate on the group thread, and Kirk Cousins, I feel like he's always a good debate point because Kirk Cousins, to me, is the poster boy for slightly above mediocre quarterback. He's like a fucking Tony Romo. JBONE would say a Matt Ryan. I know you two disagree. I don't know if I agree or not, but that quarterback where they're just good enough to keep their job and be a consistent starter in the league, but they're not bad enough to get fired.
That's no. I mean, as far as comparing that to Matt Ryan, no.
You did. Don't even try to say you didn't.
You're saying that Matt Ryan was just good enough to make.
No. You were saying that. I was saying that you were saying that.
I'm saying that Hawk. I'm saying that what's his face is like he's comparable to him. I do think Matt Ryan is a better quarterback overall, but in the grand scheme of things of how he just almost gets there and can't quite get there, but has good stats. That's what I meant.
Yeah, to me, Kirk Cousins, I think we had this in the group chat also. It kind of came up. I think he's more of like a poor man's Tony Romo. You know what I mean? Like Matt Ryan's had a lot of, playoff shortcomings, but he's generally played really, really good in the games. He's like the dude who just happens to be there as some other shit's going down, right? He's usually not like the prime, the prime suspect or whatever. Kirk Cousins has got that Romo thing where he's got the flair for making the dramatic, high profile, just backbreaker of a mistake,
Yep, that's a fair point. Yep, I can get behind that.
Well, let me ask you this, because there's been rumors that it's like Justin Jefferson is going to request a trade.
No.
Why? Like, so one of you guys gave him Offensive Player of the Year last week. Two of you, maybe. He had a fucking, not me, because I know shit. He had a...
Yeah, Mr. 2 and 4. Yeah, real fucking
I got
football.
you right where I fucking want
Rams
you.
and Colts.
Yep.
Super Bowl.
Yep, you got us right where you want us. Coming from behind. What a shock. Hawk behind everyone.
But it's just funny. It's like this receiver has like a career year. Everyone's giving him Offensive Player of the Year. He had a baller year. And now there's reports that he wants to request a trade out of Minnesota. Like I know it gets frustrating. You lost in the first round, but that happens all the time in the NFL. The Vikings had a baller season. Jefferson had a baller season. Kirk Cousins found him. I would see absolutely no reason for Jefferson to request a trade unless the Vikings moved off Kirk Cousins. Then I could see Jefferson being like, get me out of here. Because me personally, I don't think I would do it now. I don't think I would want the Colts to trade for Cousins now just because he's older. But, fuck, Kirk Cousins is better than any quarterback the Colts have had since Luck retired.
You like that? You like that?
I do like that. But look, man, he's fucking, because there's always those quarterbacks that struggle, like come playoff time and stuff. Man, it's really starting to pile up for Cousins.
Playoff time? Dude, the dude doesn't win primetime games, let alone playoff games.
Yeah, he's like 5-14 all time on primetime games.
Dude, he's 1 p.m. Kirk Cousins. If it's any other time, good luck. Count your blessings and consider it a good season. Like, he's just, I mean, he is what he is. He's a good quarterback in meaningless games and an average one when it counts.
Okay, so we all three have teams that questionable quarterback play at best, and all of our teams could potentially be looking for an upgrade in the offseason. Anyone, would you take Kirk Cousins as your quarterback next year?
No,
I think if Tannehill's healthy, man, I think Ryan Tannehill at his best is a little bit better than Kirk Cousins at his best. So, definitely. If you factor the contract into it, definitely not.
Dude, I don't need another quarterback for me to blame for shortcomings of my team. So, absolutely not. Like, I get what you're saying, Hawk. Like, he is an average quarterback, but dude, if you're paying a guy that much money, he better be more than average. And I'm sorry, dude. When it comes down to nut cutting time in big games, he's just not very good.
Well, I have a list up here of the 32 top quarterbacks, and man, when you get past number 6, we'll give Lawrence, because Lawrence may have had his coming out party. We don't know. It could be a fluke. We'll see how he does. But his season wasn't amazing, but he feels like he could be making that next step. So we'll go 6 quarterbacks.
4 interceptions and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, we don't know. But he was drafted first. He did have his rookie year was a fucking wash because Urban Meyer is a train wreck.
Yeah,
so this is almost kind of like rookie year for Lawrence, and he did all right. 25 pass TDs to 8 interceptions. Jags made the playoffs. They won a playoff game. But number 7, they have Tua. And then it goes like Tua, Goff, fucking Geno. I don't know how long it's been since NFL quarterback play's been in this sorry state.
Is this so is this the actual quarterback rating? Like,
this is NFL.com's quarterback rating.
Let's hear the top 6.
All right. So the top 6 we have, I mean, it's obvious. We got Mahomes, Hurts, which actually is a shocker. They'd have him at 2, but Burrow, Allen, Herbert, Lawrence, and then 7 starts Tua, Goff, Geno, Dak, and then Brady. Who knows if he's fucking going to be in the league next year? Man, it's pretty much every single NFL team is going to be looking for a quarterback in the offseason. It's like,
it's a lot of.
I wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings wanted to move on. I don't think they will, just because he's their guy. He got him to where he is, but there'd be a market. There'd be a market for him. There's going to be a market for Tannehill if the Titans decide to go with Willis. There's going to definitely be a market for Carr.
I got a question. If you're Minnesota, you got Carr available. Do you trade Carr for Cousins with maybe some draft?
They're the Spider-Man meme, dude.
That's a lateral move, right? That's the most lateral move any team could make.
Right. That's what
you seen that gif of Sting where he takes off the mask and it's Sting underneath, dude. That's swapping Kirk Cousins to Derek Carr, your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It's
What's
like
weird,
the fucking bad guy in Scooby-Doo. Like, let's find out who you really are.
Yeah.
Well, I said I wouldn't want the Colts trading for Cousins, but actually looking at what's coming out in the draft this year, as long as you wouldn't have to give much to get Carr, I would fucking still trade for Carr. As long as you're not giving up, like if you're giving up a 3rd-round pick to get David Carr, fucking go for it.
Well, David Carr is about 50 years old, so I don't think you'd want to trade for that one. But Derek Carr would be okay.
You motherfucker, you know what I'm talking about.
David Carr got drafted in 2004, so
you do that every goddamn time.
I know, and I'm going to continue to do it because you're going to continue to say it.
Derek Carr.
There you go.
He, to me, yeah, you think he's not amazing, but when you look at all the quarterbacks, goddamn, he's probably like the 7th or 8th best quarterback in the fucking league.
I mean, I'd take Kirk Cousins over Derek Carr, dude. Kirk Cousins, when he gets hot, Kirk can fucking ball, dude. I mean, his numbers, aside from that fourth down pass, he played good on Sunday. He wasn't the reason they lost that playoff game. Their defense is what screwed them up.
Well, and another parallel between Carr and Cousins is you could argue that they're both throwing to like 1 and 2 receiver in the league. Like I'd say Jefferson and Adams, almost unarguably, are probably, you could probably throw Tyreek in there.
Chase.
But yeah.
Yeah, Cousins definitely benefits from having Jefferson because there's been a lot of times he just fucking chucks it up into double, triple coverage and Jefferson somehow pulls it down.
But yeah, just looking at this list, fuck.
Hey, just so you know, Hawk, before you completely commit to that, Derek Carr is owed $35 million next year, $44 million the following year, and another $44 the year after that.
Ooh.
So before you get too in over your head here, that's I don't know, man. It's a lot of money.
I know it's sad, but I'm almost just committing to the Colts sucking for the next few years and using the number 4 pick next year to fucking like take an offensive lineman and just keep tanking until fucking old Arch Manning coming out of Texas.
Dude, that's not a bad move. That's how this last run the Cowboys had. That's how they built it up. They sucked for like 4 straight years, and they just kept drafting O-linemen in the first round, and then they hit on Ezekiel Elliott and Dak in that same draft. I mean, O-linemen, they got like, it's always boring, but they have like a really high hit rate on the draft. You don't see a lot of like big busts from like those high, the highly touted O-line prospects.
4 years is certainly a way to put it about how the Cowboys sucked because they just won their first playoff road game in 30 years. So that's certainly a way to look at it there, Seth. 4 years, more like almost 30.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's what they did that 4
The
years
process.
before they drafted Ezekiel Elliott.
This is the Philadelphia 76ers process. Started in 2000, maybe get somewhere in 2025.
That man, they went through a fucking crazy amount of quarter. I mean, they had Romo for a good amount of time, but even leading up to Romo, I remember like Quincy Carter and fucking
John
all
Kitna.
kinds of busts. But you got to trust that process eventually. If you're drafting that high, you'll get it. All right. Well, we've talked about Cousins. Is he going to be on the Vikings one? Now let's do a round of where will these players be next year. So I'm just going to throw out a player. We'll go around. Off the top of your head, you tell me where you guys think these players could potentially be. JBONE, we'll start with you on this one, bud. Lamar Jackson. He's sent out a cryptic tweet. It seems like he's
done. He's done in Baltimore. I got 2 places possible for Lamar Jackson. Probably more likely is Seattle. I think he would be. I think they have the space, and then they've got on top of that the draft picks. See you later, Geno. Thanks for this year. Another place could be, which would be really fun to see him play, but I don't know how they have the space or if they can do it. They'd have to get rid of Tua, but that would be Miami.
I think they're itching to get rid of Tua in Miami. Honestly,
I think Tua needs. I think his career is done, quite frankly. But
those around him should tell him to retire if they love him.
Right? Yeah, yeah. But those are the 2 places I would see him at.
Seth, Sailor Boy.
I think Falcons, man. I think this dude's from Boynton Beach, Florida. I think he's going to go down south. He's been in Baltimore long enough. I think the Falcons are going to go get him. They were the bridesmaid on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. So I think they get their guy this year, and I think they give up. I'm sure the Ravens are going to franchise him, so it's no telling what the cost is going to be to make that trade. But I think they got an aggressive owner. And they were a scrappy team this year. So I think they could really do something if they get Lamar Jackson.
I don't think Baltimore is going to franchise him, man. I just have a weird feeling they're not going to.
Why would you let him walk out the door for free?
Dude, him not traveling with the team for their playoff game says a lot about what he thinks of that organization. Man, I'm not saying it's impossible if they franchise tag him. You're probably right. They will, just so they get a couple of first round. That'd be a transition tag. So they'd get a couple first round picks for him. I don't think he's going to Atlanta because I don't think Atlanta's only a quarterback away. My number 1 was Seattle. That's what I was going with. I just think Seattle makes so much sense for him. But I mean, you might be right. Maybe he does want to go down south, and Miami could be a destination. But I agree with. I don't think Tua is going to play anymore, and I don't think he should. 4 potential concussions in a season should be a sign that it's probably ain't for you, man. You're a good dude and you played really well this season, but dude, like, how much is it before you're like risking your life to play football? And I just think he's kind of at that point now.
Yeah, and if you look at his season, he's coming off one of his worst seasons as a pro, and he was injured, and obviously his attitude fucking sucks because he'll just quit. So I think he actually hurt his trade market. However, like we've said, the QB market's pretty fucking weak this season, so teams are going to overpay for him. So really, in the NFL, players don't have any leverage except for the threat of sitting out.
Yep.
So let's say Lamar Jackson says, all right, trade me or I'm not playing. And they're like, okay, well, on the same token, it could be like, well, trade me who I want to go to. Like, if you're going to hold that leverage of like, I'm not playing unless you trade me, then you may as well hold out and be like, I'm not playing unless you trade me to this specific team, which would mean I feel like you would want to go to a team that's close, maybe. So I would even think like, I could see New England like picking up Lamar Jackson.
What about a team that has, is really close and has draft picks and stuff like Detroit? Do you think Detroit would try to trade for him? Because they're close. They're not far off, but Goff did have a really.
They got a good thing going with Goff, man. I like Jared Goff. I don't know if you give up all that. Why don't you just add to what you already got going there in Detroit?
How long
do you have a good thing with Goff though?
I was about to say, how long do you expect Goff to play that well? Like, sooner or later, the rose is going to fall off. Like,
dude, I feel like you guys are just really fucking hard on these quarterbacks, dude. Jared Goff was good with the Rams. Jared Goff wasn't a bad QB for the Rams, but they just had a chance to
Hey, I'm not the
with
one who
Stafford.
traded him because I didn't think he could win a Super Bowl, and then they trade him for a QB who won him a Super Bowl. That wasn't me. That was Sean McVay.
Right. I'm not saying, like I said, Matt Stafford's definitely better, man, and that was an aggressive move that paid off. But who would you rather have next year, Jared Goff or Matt Stafford?
Jared Goff.
Probably right. Probably Golf.
Yeah,
but
I don't know if Lamar Jackson, because the other thing about Lamar Jackson, he's a badass football player, but you got to tailor your offense to what he does. Like he's not coming into whatever system you got and augmenting it. You're going to have to commit to making a non-traditional NFL offense if you're getting this guy. So I just don't know. I don't know if you Detroit with all the momentum they've had, I don't know if you just upheave all that this offseason.
I think Pete Carroll is very flexible with his play calling, where he can get a Lamar Jackson come in and
Miami is literally the perfect scenario.
And Miami too. You're right.
Miami would be good. That spread
dork
offense.
they got as the head coach. He'll do anything he wants with that
dork.
Yeah.
The vaping dork. Did y'all see him vaping on the sidelines?
All right.
good for him. I can see him going to Florida though. Miami or the Bucks, but again, I think New England's going to fucking.
Bucks.
He's not going to Bucks.
The Bucks are screwed now.
They have no room. Yeah.
That'll bring us to our next quarterback since we're talking about it. Tom Brady. Does he retire? Is he on the Raiders? Is he on the Bucks? Jordan, what do you think?
I think he's going to the Raiders. Even if it's only for 1 year, reunite with McDaniels. They have a good offense already in place. They have a decent offensive line. I don't know, man. It just makes too much sense to me.
Yeah. I say it's time for him to retire, but he's not going to retire like this because it's going to ruin his legacy. So he'll be back next year somewhere.
Wait, you think Tom Brady's legacy is ruined because he lost yesterday or lost in the playoffs?
He didn't win the Super Bowl, so he's not good anymore.
Let me back up. He doesn't want.
He won 7 Super Bowls, but he didn't win the last one, dude.
He won.
He quarterback.
He doesn't want to end his career the way he did. Okay.
That's different. That's different than tarnishing the legacy.
All right. Thanks. So I don't know. I guess Vegas does make sense, in that case. But you got to get rid of Carr first.
Well, that's done because Derek Carr. God damn it, Derek Carr.
They're cutting him if they can't trade him. He's gone.
They basically fired him the last 2 weeks. They were like,
dude, he already gave his goodbye speech and everything. Like, dude, he's gone no matter what.
He made it Instagram official that he's fucking leaving.
And if it's on the gram, bro, it's
they only have like a $5 million salary cap too if they cut him before June 1st.
Yeah, I think most of his guaranteed money's already been paid out. I think it's going to be a reunion one way or another. I see him either going to Vegas for 1 year with Josh McDaniel, or I could see him going back to the Patriots for another year, man. I feel like the Patriots defense was really good. Like they could go back to doing like the old school, like he was in his OG run, where he's more of a game manager and relies on a tough defense. And I can see him and Belichick getting back for one more year, and it'd be a lot of fanfare. I think that'd just kind of be like putting a nice bow on his career to go back and do one last season in New England.
But he didn't leave New England because of the competitiveness. He lost it because I think the relationship was damaged, where I think the organization pretty much said they're ready to move on from him. I don't think it was, oh, the Patriots aren't competing, so I'm leaving. I think it was more like the Patriots don't care about me anymore, so I'm leaving.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder, though. Like I said, he, and I'm sure Robert Kraft would back up the Brinks truck to his front door. Because they'd sell a lot of tickets and a lot of merch and stuff, man, for one last Brady farewell tour.
But I do remember exact quote is him saying, like, I'll never play in cold weather again. Like, he was over. I think a lot of it, he doesn't want to play. He's old. The cold is
makes sense.
Effect.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to play in that fucking frozen tundra. But yeah, I think the Raiders. If he's not on the Bucks, he's on the Raiders or he's retired. I don't think it's going to be anything outside of those three. And if you're a Bucks fan, do you want Tom Brady back?
No, they need to start their rebuild. That team is. I texted Seth last night. That team just looked old and slow. Like, and they got so many contracts that are still going. Like, that team's probably screwed for the next 5 years.
That's how it goes when you lose your quarterback. So we're all in agreement. Bucks, Raiders, or retirement for Tom Brady.
Maybe
the Patriots.
There's no way he plays for the Bucks.
I say Raiders makes the most sense.
I'd say so too. All right, well then let's go with the Raiders quarterback, Derek Carr. I know he's due a lot of money, man, but like we said, the trade market is going to be there, and I think tons of teams make the call on Derek Carr. See what Panthers, fucking number one.
There's a ton.
Texans, fuck some Colts, man. I wouldn't be shocked
Colts MO, yeah.
Here's the thing, though. You already know you don't need to trade for him, and if you're already if Derek Carr is like, well, I want to play for your franchise. You don't need to trade for him. They're going to cut him no matter what. I wouldn't give the Raiders anything for him. He's already said his goodbyes. I just don't think it makes sense to trade for him, especially with his contract the way it is. Like, you're telling me you're going to take on $35 million this year for Derek Carr? Like,
what do you know? The Raiders dead money if they cut him?
Just it's $5 million. I just said that 5 seconds ago.
I thought you said that was what left their cap. I thought that was all they were going to have left.
The dead money is $5 million if they cut him before June 1st.
How did they get away with that?
Because they gave him all guaranteed money at the beginning.
It was all up front.
It's up front. Yeah.
Most contracts are structured where the salaries are going up. He had a weird one where he got a lot of money in the first couple of years of the deal.
I mean, he was still going to make a ton of money, but there was no bonuses or anything attached to it. That's what screwed the Falcons so bad is they backloaded the contract so bad for Ryan with bonuses and stuff, and that's why his dead money was so high.
Yeah, it's nothing like Russell Wilson's dead money, though. That's why he's not on this list of players of where they're playing next year, because I think we all know Russell Wilson's going to be on the Broncos.
Early take for me for 2023. I think it was Hackett, dude. Russell Wilson looked like 85% of the old Russell Wilson those last 2 games, man.
Yeah.
I really think it was the fucking coach, man. I think I don't know what they were doing there, but I think he just had Russell Wilson all fucked up, man.
I could see, so back to Derek Carr, I could easily, if they cut him, the Colts would obviously make sense, but what about the Jets?
Yeah,
I mean that team was a decent. They were a decent quarterback away from being in the playoffs.
They would have started Mike fucking White all year. I think they probably would have made the playoffs. They probably would have won 2 or 3 more games. I mean, not that he's like an all-star or anything, but he's competent, and that's all they really needed.
There's probably about 10 teams Derek Carr can go to.
Yeah,
it's just probably like Jordan said. It's just depending on really where he wants to go because he's not gonna. I don't see him getting traded though. So
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I predict Derek Carr on. I had to stop myself.
It makes sense.
I said David again. I think he's gonna be on the Colts, man.
It makes sense. It does make sense.
He fits the profile of what the Colts look for, dude. It's old, slightly washed quarterback, dude. Bring him on.
It's true, but a month ago, I'd have been like, no fucking way. But then you start reading the draft analysis of quarterbacks coming in, and it's such a crapshoot. We're picking 4th. Chicago's not taking a QB, so they're probably fucking trading. I'm going to guess someone's going to trade up to number 1. I don't want the Colts to trade up for a quarterback. We're picking 4. If there's one there, take them. Don't give up any more of your future to get a player that you're not fucking sold on. So I could totally see Derek Carr coming to the Colts and then using that 4 pick on a fucking left tackle. So we'll see. Did everybody make their picks? Did everybody have a destination for Derek Carr?
I say Colts, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many teams I could think of. I mean, I guess, yeah, Colts do make the most sense, but I'm gonna say Colts or Panthers.
You haven't said much about Saints quarterbacks, JBONE, and they're just as much need as everybody else. What do you want them to do?
I don't
They're
know.
$50 million in the hole right
now. They're fucked. They really are. They got to dump some salary. That's why I'm wanting them to dump, get rid of Kamara. I know that's going to still hit. Still have some dead space. I don't really know what it is offhand, but I know it's going to have a lot. Same thing with Thomas. Just cut bait, get rid of him.
Well, they restructured Michael Thomas's contract, so he's 100% not going back to New Orleans. He's going to be the first one gone.
It's ridiculous. He's been there on his fucking
bitch.
ass. Yes, he is. I agree.
I am so glad Saints fans finally realized what the rest of us already realized.
Fucking DeMar Hamlin fucking died on the field, and he's fucking questionable to make it back for the conference championship. This dude stumped his toe 2 years ago and hasn't been back on the field.
Yeah.
That guy for the Redskins got shot in the preseason and fucking played this season.
But
Oh
my
toe hurt.
My toe.
Ow,
Fucking
my
Deion Sanders
toe.
doesn't even have a fucking toe, and he played.
Did Thomas play this year at all? Did he take a
He played
snap?
like 3 fucking games and his ankle gave out on him again.
So what happened? He was probably playing Madden for the last 2 years. He wasn't in rehab.
That's what happens when all you can do is fucking flex in the mirror about how much of a badass you are. Fucking
It's
Twitter
true. Well,
fingers took over.
Our GM was asked, like, why don't you make more splashy moves when it seems like teams like the Saints and the Rams make these splashy moves, and they still manage to stay under the cap? And our GM said that bill comes in eventually. And right now for the Saints, like they were doing well, like finagling it for a few years, but eventually the bill always comes. And now
bad. I think the Saints are fucked for like at least the next 5 years, to be honest with you.
The problem is they did this for like 8 years and it netted them nothing.
Right.
they're as fucked as Saints fans have been their whole life. Just growing up in Louisiana.
The bags will be out in no time.
That
I don't believe in a bag.
Super Bowl, but yeah, aside from 2018, like the Saints haven't had a real good team in a while, man.
No,
Since the year that they played the Rams in the conference championship. So
got hosed. Is that one game they got hosed in? One of many.
Yeah, where they had that fucking
that was
interference at the end.
Yeah, but and even obviously this as a Saints fan, it wasn't all pass interference there. There was some questionable play calling leading up to that play. You know, a lot of Saints fans like to cry about it. I've said it.
Went into overtime, and old fucking noodle arm threw it dead up in the fucking air to be picked off. Fucking duck.
Yeah.
Stop living in the past, guys. Here we go. Aaron Rodgers.
Fuck.
Where's he going? Packers retirement?
Well, he said today on Pat McAfee's show he will not be part of a rebuilding team, which is pretty fucking obvious.
I mean, I don't think he walks away from that money, dude. He's due, if he just comes back to the Packers, he's due $60 million. And I don't know if the cap hit. I want to say that I was listening to a podcast about this last week, man. I think they said it's going to be something like $35 million. I don't know why they would trade him, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the Packers cap situation is. If they could stomach trading him, I could see him maybe going to the Raiders also, reuniting with Devontae Adams. But I think he's definitely not retiring, dude. Like nobody, I don't care how much money you got. You're not walking away from $60 million, which is what he's going to get if he's on an NFL roster on March 15th.
All right, so here you go. You ready for this? His dead money, if he's cut this year, is $99 million.
Yeah, you're not doing that.
If he's traded, he has $68 million against the cap.
Yeah, so I think he comes back to the Packers. I think this guy's he's a fucking diva. I just think he likes the drama, man. Look at last offseason. He stirred up all the shit last offseason too. Like it's crazy that like he's become Brett Favre. You know, this is what Favre did his last 3 or 4 years. And remember, those two hated each other. That relationship was real icy for a couple of years. And now he's Favre, dude. I think he just likes to be the fucking, you know, the center of attention and have everybody talking about him and shit. But he's not walking away from that check.
I'm talking from a competitive standpoint, though. If you're a Packers fan, you're like, we love you, Aaron, but You're at the end of your career. But yeah, the I didn't even take into account the cap hits and shit. Although I will say, when the Eagles traded us Wentz, they took the biggest cap hit in NFL history. Something crazy. I want to say like 30-some million dollars.
False. The Falcons took the biggest cap hit in NFL history. Falcons had to pay Matt Ryan $60 million in dead money this year.
Okay, so the precedent's been set recently. For one reason or another, teams aren't afraid to take. They'd rather move on and get the rebuild going. They're like, all right, we'll take the hit this season. Because you got to understand, if the Packers think it's a lost season anyway.
What do you think that the Packers would even get for Aaron Rodgers? Let's just say that there's a
third
trade.
rounder. I think the Matt Ryan trade set the precedent for what you would get for an aging quarterback. Third round.
You get a third easy if it's enough teams that kind of get liquored up on this guy. I think you could get a second rounder for him I think it's going to.
If there's a war, if there's a bidding war,
he could definitely go up to I think second or third for sure.
What if the Raiders traded with the Packers and they trade Carr and a third rounder for Aaron Rodgers?
The Packers?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Packers are gonna roll with Jordan Love. I mean, he's got to get to the point where they either got to cut bait or this is what, fourth year, right?
Yep.
It'll be his fifth year starting next season.
I think next year will be his fourth year.
Fourth year is next year.
They've made a lot of questionable.
And they have the problem for them is they have no cap space either. Like they're fucked either way.
Okay, so that's what I was kind of wondering if they have.
They're like 16 million over the cap right now. I mean, they signed a lot of their guys to big contracts. Like Aaron Jones getting $20 million, Bakhtiari's getting like 30. They got a lot of big contracts. So I don't know. Yeah, I just don't think there's any way to trade him or cut him. So I think it's Packers.
I think they just run it back, man. I mean, dude, if they hit on a few draft picks, they could be right back in the mix. If they would have, I mean, obviously they shit the bed that last week against the Lions, but they were going to be hitting the playoffs with a full head of steam if they would have got in.
But they didn't, and we'll see. Is this the first year Aaron Rodgers has missed the playoffs?
No.
They missed it because remember that's why McCarthy got fired because they missed it back-to-back years. I think 17 and 18.
Yeah, and because McCarthy sucks.
Yeah.
All right, we'll switch off quarterbacks here. We got a couple receivers here. One who's definitely on the block, and that's DeAndre Hopkins from the Cardinals. Seth, you start us off, man. Where do you see DeAndre Hopkins landing?
I don't know. This dude seems kind of toxic to me, man. He had the suspension this year. Seems like he's had a bad attitude. Like maybe the Saints, like somebody that's shitty that's just gonna like look for taking flyers on trying to get trying to get a little bit of talent in the building. I don't think
not getting the Saints.
I don't think a champion. I don't see him coming in and being the fucking missing link for a team that makes a big playoff run next year. I think he's gonna go to a bottom feeder.
Dude, his cap hit is $30 million next year. That's a big cap hit for a 31-year-old receiver.
Yeah, Duke is still ball, but like I said, the vibe I get from hearing the stuff coming out of Arizona and just the way I see him act and stuff, man, I think the dude's a fucking headache. And who's trying to pay that money to bring that kind of energy onto the team?
I will tell you who. The Bears are so desperate for wide receivers, it will not surprise me one bit.
That's exactly what I was going to say, man.
They do horrible at these kind of trades, too. Like, they get fleeced every time they do one of these trades.
But I think a wild card could be the Chiefs, man. I could totally see
him $27 million, dude. There's no way.
What about the Jets?
I think they need to shore up the quarterback. I think the team that's going to trade for DeAndre Hopkins has a solid quarterback in play. I don't think they're going to trade for Hopkins and then we'll see what we do at the quarterback position. I think the teams in the running are teams that know who their quarterback is next season. At least.
Hey, the Browns might try to get a little bit of Watson and Hopkins reunion up in Cleveland. I could see that.
I could totally see that actually. Because
it seems like the kind of shit move the Browns would make.
Both of them had their best seasons with each other, though. Hopkins was in there getting massages too. They just signed non-disclosure agreements with him.
Getting partner massages with each other and shit.
Actually, I another team, the Lions, they got all those draft picks.
You don't have to trade much to get Hopkins, though. We're not talking. I don't even think you get it.
Oh, you wouldn't get a first round.
I don't even think that. I think like sixth round pick. I could see him going for it, man.
Receiver, running back is number one, and then receiver number two at the two positions where you age the fastest. And when I say age the fastest, you might have the best season of your career in your 30th year, And then when you turn 31, you have like the worst season of your career. Like
Look
Allen
no further
Robinson,
than
man.
Julio
That dude
Jones.
fell off the face of the fucking planet. He had like the best season of his career and then just nothing because he fucking got old, man. And I'm not saying Hopkins is there, but he didn't play half the goddamn season, and then he was pretty mediocre when he came back, right? Didn't like.
Yep.
Yeah, he's 31 years
granted,
old.
Kyler Murray, I think we're seeing he was a bit overrated, and maybe the quarterback play made it suffer a little bit. But I don't know. I could see Hopkins going to like fucking the Browns is actually a good one, but I actually think that for some reason I think the Chiefs just might go get him from like a 1-year flyer, depending on if they win the Super Bowl, then no. But if they don't win the Super Bowl and it's because they don't have wide receivers that can catch the ball, I do think they'll be in the market for a veteran. So I'm gonna go Chiefs, man. Wild card out there, and you know me, I'm mostly right.
Yeah.
Did everybody make their picks? I lose track, man.
Yep, we're good. Moving on.
Yep.
All right. One more player, then we'll move on. Odell Beckham. Everyone thought he was going to sign for the playoffs. He didn't. He just didn't. Does he even play in the league next year?
I don't
Got kicked off the league.
We haven't heard anything about him since that weird situation where he got escorted off a flight. You know, it seemed like there was like 4 or 5 teams that were going to try to sign him, and then that happened. And he's got a good publicist because they stomped the news out on that real quick. It seemed like that was a big story for like 3 hours, and it kind of just faded off into the fucking ether. Yeah,
they released the footage this week, though.
Yeah,
Did you guys
really?
watch it?
Yeah. He's calling. He's like, yeah, get off the plane, fat boy.
Just shitting on everybody.
I think next season, I think Odell Beckham is on like the NFL Network fucking pregame show, man. I think that's who signs him.
I could see him coming back to the Giants.
Oh, dude,
Why? You're the Giants. Why would you want him, dude?
Yeah, they don't need a locker room cancer, dude. That team is like set to go. They got a great head coach.
They're gonna be back on the boat again.
Yeah,
I can see the Chiefs too, man. You know, Andy Reid's he's the kind of guy like has enough confidence in himself that he'll bring on those headaches, and they typically work out pretty decent for him. So I could see the Chiefs maybe grabbing him.
He is a pretty strong leader. He's a strong leader too.
I think the Eagles are a possibility for him, honestly, dude. That team seems like they have they have a really good locker room, and it seems like that's a team that if that dude got out of line, I think they just beat the piss out of him. Like, can you imagine getting in a fight with AJ Brown? I think he might just fucking rip your arms off and kill you with him.
Yeah, and I do think you need to go and he needs to go to a team where everyone knows he's not the best wide receiver on the team. Because if he goes there where it's like a competition where he's trying to be wide receiver 1, but if you go to the Eagles, you're clearly not going to be wide receiver 1.
You're going to be wide receiver 3. Like, that's why I think it makes sense, because I think that's what he's going to be. There's no way that dude's coming back from that bad of an ACL tear and is going to be the same player.
He needs to be in the way the Rams used him was perfect, man. Is like that wide receiver 3 who you drop a couple good plays for every game. He was awesome for him all the way on that playoff run last year.
They used him perfect. They signed him for the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's how you use Beckham. And even then he got injured. So it's like he's just that player. He's fragile now. But that's it for where will they be next year? The next topic. This was for Seth. Seth, is DeMar Hamlin actually dead?
I'm going to say no. But the jury's still out. I'm not saying I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying he is, man.
I'm not promoting anything. I don't know yet. But there is a theory out there that DeMar Hamlin actually died on the field. And there's like people are passing around visual proof that maybe DeMar Hamlin actually died and the NFL's covering it up.
Next segment.
I love a good conspiracy theory, man, but there'd have to be so many people in on it, man. And I just don't know how you'd keep it.
Look, I don't believe it, but what's hilarious, I was talking to my friend who actually does. He's the one who told me about it.
Deshaun?
And I said, no, this is Kearns. And I said, I said, what are you going to do when he starts making appearances? And he's like, I don't know, man. I think they're just going to brainwash everybody into thinking like putting a different guy in there and being like, no, this is DeMar. And people are going to be like, yeah, that's DeMar. Again, I don't believe it. I just think it's funny that that's a theory. I mean,
next segment.
Okay, we're here to talk about football, not fake dying. Let's move it on.
Fuck. The whole nation's been talking about fake dying for 3 weeks. I figure we'd do it.
Let's leave the wrestling story.
All right, we'll get into this fucking week's schedule. But Seth, give us the rankings for last week. How did we fucking do?
So at the we'll keep it interesting. So in the middle, we had a tie. We had Jordan and JBONE both at 4-2. In the basement, we had Hawks in there at 2-4, just abysmal. And then at the top, the undisputed expert of football prognosticating on the show, me, 5-1. The only person that picked the Jags to beat the Chargers, and it was looking shaky first half.
No, I picked the Jags too.
Which one did I thought there was one that
I picked the Vikings of the Giants. That's what.
Okay, that's the one we moved off on. Yeah. So I'll pick two underdogs to win with the Jags and Giants, and both hit.
Did we all pick the sucking ears to win?
Yep,
we did.
Nobody had any faith
Jesus
in the
Christ!
Cowboys.
Can we at least talk about that for a minute? What the fuck is wrong with all of us? That team looked
Cowboys
like dog
fans
shit.
pick
All,
the Bucks to win.
That team looked like dog shit all year, and we were like,
But it's
no,
Brady,
don't,
dude.
don't worry, Brady will just plug the fucking secret juice in, and they'll all look like they're 20 again.
We've been seeing it, dude. We're all about the same age, dude. We have been seeing it for the entire prime of our sports fandom life, dude. Going back to 2002, the guy always fucking finds a way to get it done, and not to mention the Cowboys are just they found ways to spectacularly flame out in the playoffs over the last 10 or 15 years.
The thing we didn't account for though is he's not the only one that's old as shit. They were all old as shit, and they all looked old as shit. That was the problem. I don't think we accounted for that. And goddamn, NFC South was a train wreck. Holy shit!
It's still going to be too next year. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for that division, but that's good for the teams in the division because you all have a shot to make the playoffs next year.
Make the playoffs and lose in the first round.
Get a home
AFC
game.
South the same way, except maybe the Jags are good. Who fucking knows?
All right, go ahead with your playoff pick. Sorry.
The play I want to talk about, it's the play. This is a play that's going to fucking haunt Ravens fans forever. You're going to wake up in cold chills thinking about this play, being like, God fucking damn it.
Know what you're talking about.
And that's the fumble at the 1 yard line when he's trying to fucking go over with it. It gets knocked away in a 98-yard touchdown return.
Whoever called that play should be fired. That was from the 2 fucking yard line.
I don't think it was the play caller, dude, because they were in the formation to where the running backs were going to push him. They were coming up to push him. That was fucking Huntley, bro. Huntley decided he was going to be the hero, and his 5'10", 170-pound ass was going to jump over everybody. If he stays low, he definitely doesn't fumble, and he probably fucking scores. Yeah, I was thinking that too. God, why did they fucking go for that? But then I was looking at the formation and the way the running backs were playing, and I think everybody else thought he was going low, and he just decided.
But after the game, Harbaugh didn't say that. It sounded like he was trying to fake Cincinnati out, and he thought they would all go low, and then Huntley would go over the top.
Maybe, man. I don't know. I think maybe he's trying to cover. He didn't want those QB under the bus, dude.
He kind of alligator armed it a little bit too. I don't know.
Way. Either way, that's a shitty way to lose a playoff game. Then again, though, they had no business winning that game. But still,
the Ravens, they played their ass off. Yeah, I agree. The Bengals were definitely the better team, even though the Ravens probably should have fucking won on Sunday night. But it's definitely as far as one play goes on just a gigantic swing of fortunes. I don't know if it's ever been anything like that.
No.
Let's talk about how three-score leads are nothing in the NFL these days. You can't even get complacent at all. So often you see teams get a 3-score lead and they go out of their offense and just play conservative. You can't do that in today's NFL, man. You got to fucking bring it 4 quarters. We got a 3-score lead, just play soft zone. It's no, because that's what happens. These teams go into a soft fucking zone to not give up the big play, and then before you know it, they lost the fucking lead. So
pretty much all the games except for last night were like that, where the favorites just had to play all 4 quarters to win the game.
That was a great weekend of football.
Yeah, it was.
I just think when teams go into a soft zone like that, they deserve to fucking lose.
Prevent defense prevents you from winning.
Bars.
I never understood it because you built the lead.
Falcons are the kings of it.
Playing it, and then you're like, well, we can't lose the lead. It's well, then just play how you played the first 3 quarters, motherfucker.
Yeah, the Falcons are let's blitz the quarterback every down. And then in the 4th quarter when we're up 20, fucking back off and just let him sling it. Who cares?
I never understand it. But it's good, though. You never feel out of a game, but at the same time, you never feel comfortable. I knew the Colts were going to lose their 33-point lead, so whatever. All right, any thoughts on the first-round games? Anything you want to rant on before we move into this week's slate?
A lot of people, this is real quick. We're talking shit about Al Michaels and Tony Dungy. more specifically Tony Dungy, I guess, because he said, "Oh, hey, there's a flag on the field." You know, he was calling the game, and Tony Dungy is 10 times better than fucking Chris Collinsworth in that position. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I saw that too, saying they were too subdued. I mean, I grew up watching fucking Pat Summerall. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need like a WWE style announcer like screaming in my ears. I'm watching the game. Like, I'm cool for the announcers to like exist in the background.
Yeah.
The best part about Pat Summerall, though, is he had Madden next to him, and when there was a game-winning field goal, Madden's talking about like the left end protector blowing some guy up. Doesn't even give two shits at the field goal went in and they won the game.
Well, Collinsworth is my least favorite announcer.
He's
in the whole
horrible.
NFL. I fucking hate that guy.
All he likes to do is just suck off the QBs, man. Whatever the fucking better QB is in the game, he just spends the whole game fucking filleting him.
If they could put Joe Buck and Collinsworth together, it would literally be like an explosion in the booth. I just fucking hate both those guys so much. They both love to suck the quarterbacks off, and I'm sure they'd suck each other off. It'd just be great.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
well,
that's
enough
all I wanted to
of the
mention.
sucking off talk, guys. Let's get into this week's fucking round of games here. We'll start with the Saturday game. We got the Jags going to the Chiefs.
I'll start off Chiefs.
Yeah, I think Chiefs win, but I think the Jaguars give them a good run for their money. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the KC fans are going to be sweating it till the end, but I think the Chiefs pull off the win.
Trevor Lawrence has never lost a Saturday game in college or NFL.
Damn.
That's a hell of a stat, but there's a first time for everything.
I don't think that the Jags win, but I agree with you, Seth. I don't understand how people think that this is just going to be a massacre. Like,
I'm excited for the game.
The Jags are a good team, man. Like, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think it's closer than 8.5. I feel like the Jags are going to hang in that game.
They got old Sunshine as their quarterback. So we'll see. I think I'll go with I'm going to go with the fucking Jags, man, just to mix it up here.
You got nothing else to lose.
I got nothing else to lose.
You got to make
so
up some ground. Yeah, you need to be
That's
zigging where we're
call.
zagging the rest of the way.
Yeah, anything that we're 3-0 on, you're going to need to take.
That's actually a good idea. Hawk.
There's 7 games left, and Hawks got to make up fucking.
But
3.
I legitimately think Jags are going to win the game, so I'm not just doing it to be the
All right.
contrarian. All right.
You didn't think they would win last week, but all of a sudden they win this week.
I'm just not sold on the Chiefs. They haven't shown me anything. All right. We got the Giants going to the Eagles in the NFC.
Man.
I think same thing. I think Giants give them a good fight, but Eagles get the win.
I think the Eagles are they're just so much more of a complete team. Getting Hurts another week of rest, I mean, I could see them just putting it all together in this game and just fucking housing the Giants, but I'm going Eagles either way.
The Giants are scrappy good. I just think they're going to be outgunned for talent this week, man. They're just not going to have enough good players to match up.
Well, and the entire Eagles defensive line, all 8 guys are healthy for the first time all season this week. So best of luck to you running the ball.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Eagles.
I got to go Eagles also.
Oh.
I know it's.
Give
I'm
them a kiss of death.
I'm gonna make a game up with the fucking Jags, so I can go with you guys on this one.
We just gave the Philly fans the fucking kiss of death, man.
Good. They deserve it. All right. Ooh, this was probably the game of the week. The Bengals going to Buffalo.
Sunday games are way better than the Saturday games this week. Kind of fucked the Saturday games a little bit, but I'm going Buffalo. Dude, Cincinnati's offensive line losing 3 starters, it did not look good last week for their offensive line, and Burrow had no time. I don't think Buffalo looked great, but Cincinnati looked even worse, so I'm going to go Buffalo just based on those 4 more points. Obviously.
I think Bengals win, man. I think Bengals are coming in this game with a chip on their shoulder. I still don't understand how this game isn't at least at a neutral site. The Bengals were going to win that game on Monday night. They were literally killing the Bills as the game got stopped. I think the Bengals win this game, man.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen did not play great. He made some really questionable calls there. Like that fumble was like, man, just get rid of the ball. I'm gonna go Bengals here, but I do agree with you, Jordan. That offensive line is very worrisome there. I feel like just what we kind of saw, the little bit that we saw, that looks like the Bengals were going to win. And I feel like, and plus I got to keep my Super Bowl pick alive. So
it's going to be a coin flip game. I definitely see this game's going to come down to two or three plays or 2 or 3 big penalties in either direction, man. It's going to be razor thin. I think that the margin of victory on this one.
I think Burrow's got that factor. I think he takes them to the AFC Championship game again. I'm going to go Bengals.
Perfect.
Jordan stands alone.
There's where I make up my game on Seth.
All right. We have the Cowboys going to the Bay Area to Santa Clara 49ers.
San Francisco's not losing. 49ers.
Dude, I still think the Niners win, but Cowboys looked so good last night, and I'm nervous seeing Brock Purdy going up against that pass rush, man. He got it together. He struggled a little bit the first half last game. You know, he used to be Glock Purdy. Now he's the Brock Pot because he takes a little bit to get warm now, man, for the playoffs. So, but I think they do enough to eke out a win. But yeah, dude, both those Sunday games got the potential to be fucking classics, man.
I think Brock's nerves were getting the best of him in the first half. Because the second half he was like a whole different quarterback. So I'm gonna go 49ers again. That's my other pick. So going to the Super Bowl, gotta keep it alive. So 49ers take this game.
Well, perfect, because I'm going with the Cowboys, so I can pick up another one. What's the points on this one, Jordan?
I looked today. I think it's 5.
If that's Jordan, if you guys forgot, Jordan got me for $50 this fucking weekend. I can't remember what the game was.
3.5. So you picked the Seahawks like a complete moron.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll do another 50 if you want, and I'll take the Cowboys at fucking 3.5. Cowboys 3.5.
I prefer 3, but either way,
whatever the spread is,
it's 3.5 right now. I'll go 49ers. That's fine.
All right. So I got the Cowboys 3.5. All right. You heard it. $50. It's time to make it up.
So 49ers by 7. I got
it. That's the real kiss of death. If I put money on the team, you could pretty much guarantee that it's going to be the exact opposite. Though I could see the Cowboys winning by like fucking right outside the spread. If they lose by like 4, I lose the bet or something.
Yep.
See that? If they win, though, I win. I never remember how this shit fucking works. God. Style and grace.
You need the 49ers to win by 3 or less, or the Cowboys to win. Yes, that's what you need.
Yes. Got you. The Niners are probably going to lose by fucking 3, and then I'll lose the bet. That'll be great. I think that does it, man. Do we got anything else? We know you won $50 off me, but did you win any more money?
I mean, so I had it rolling there for a little while, so I took. You guys are going to be like, what a fucking idiot.
Oh, we already are. Before you even talk.
The 49ers over on their team points for 1,000, that hit. I took the Bills over on their team points for 1,000, that hit. Then I took the Vikings over 24.5 for 1,000. They scored 24. And then I took the Bengals over 24.5 for 1,000, and they scored 24.
I got to experience
so you broke even.
I got to experience Jordan's gambling gimmick for the first time this weekend. So like,
ain't no goddamn gimmick, pal. This is real life.
Jordan's like he's like the best friend a guy could ever ask for, right? Like he's always like super nice, friendly, cute, accommodating. Every time I call him, he answers like, "Hey, what's going on, man?" I called him in the middle of the Bills-Dolphins game to try to talk to him about some stuff for the podcast, and he's like, "Hurry the fuck up, dude. What do you got to fucking tell me? I'm trying to watch this fucking game." I'm like, dude, I'll call you back. Fuck, bro.
He was getting testy in the group thread. You could tell he was losing his bets because he was fine, and then he lost a couple bets. He's like, I'm not having this talk anymore. This is stupid.
Well, I've been friends with this dude for fucking over fucking 12 years at this point, dude. And I've never heard him that tense and fucking just fucking wired up, dude.
Dude, if
he's
the
like,
Bills,
Seth, what the fuck do you got to say?
If the Bills win that game by 8 points, I hit a 16 parlay, so that's why I was a little bit fucking on edge at that point. So obviously that didn't happen.
Yeah,
that's fine. Hey, you'll get them back this week, man.
Exactly. I'm gonna win everything this week.
Except you're gonna lose $50 to me.
$50. Fucking all right.
All right, fellas. Is there anything else? Am I missing anything? You guys have anything to sum up the week with?
Hawk's a fucking idiot. We already knew that.
Go
right.
football.
To me, the divisional round of the playoffs is generally like the best weekend of football for the
Yeah,
entire
I
year.
agree.
And so I'm really excited for these games,
Dude,
especially Sunday's doubleheader.
I think the Sunday games could be better than the Super Bowl, honestly. I think those two Sunday games are going to be fucking
you can't go wrong with Cowboys and Niners in the playoffs, dude. Like that's a fucking classic matchup.
And then Bills Bengals with the two young gun quarterbacks that everybody loves. Like
the exact opposite of a classic matchup. The Bengals and Bills. All right, fellas. Well, until next week, then. Let me find this fucking outro.
Hit the outro. We're not going to play.